Hey everyone, well, you can probably tell from the video title that this is not really the usual kind of video that you would see from my channel, but I'm really excited about it and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. When I planned to do this video last week, after I found something, and then I got a little bit busy with work, I went to KL over the weekend for my cousin's wedding. And in a strange or sudden turn of events, I ended up getting bitten by a dog, and then needing to get emergency medical attention back home here in Singapore, and that resulted in this. And I was warded in the hospital for a couple of days, and that's kind of what has delayed this entire thing. So I did have an entirely different video scripted, and that was before anyone else had any videos about this potential John Mayer guitar plugin, but I've seen what the other people have posted about. I think so. John Mayer Gear has got an Instagram post. Justin Jesk, I think that's how you pronounce it, has a couple of YouTube videos on it. I actually provided the audio to Justin, who then gave it to John Mayer Gear. And I think John Nathan Cordy also has a couple of videos done on this. So I'm trying not to repeat, anything that they've said. And I'm just trying to make, just points that probably haven't been stated, hopefully, before. And so I don't talk a lot about John Mayer on this channel, but I am a huge John Mayer fan that started 20 years ago, in fact, when my older brother came home with a copy of Heavier Things on CD, and from then on, we've just been hooked. And this right here, this is the Black One John Mayer American Stratocaster. This was my first ever American-made guitar that I had saved up my own money to purchase when I was 17. I think the rumors about this guitar coming out probably came out when I was 15 or 16, and then I worked. I saved every cent I could save just to buy this, and I remember ordering this from Wildwood Guitars in the US and actually receiving a call from Wildwood Guitars in the middle of class. Running on a class to talk to the rep at Wildwood Guitars, and he was basically playing all of the models that they had in stock for me for this particular guitar, and told me that I could choose one. To be very frank, I don't think you could actually tell the difference over the phone like that, but that was a really cool experience, and then I wound up having essentially what was my grail guitar at that point in time, and I still have it to this day. Yeah, so I'm big on John Mayer, big on gear. Well, I've had most of the big pieces of John Mayer gear, whether it's the Silver Sky, I've got an OMJM, Silver Sky, both the Core and the SE. My brother had the Cheratone JM amplifier, and pedals, TS10 clones, obviously not the actual clone. The Aquapus delay and all that, and yeah, for my own personal rig, I've kind of shifted to a digital setup. I've been using the Neural DSP Quad Cortex for probably the better part of almost 4 years now, and that's kind of where I am, in terms of gear. And I think I'll cut right to the chase. I think that this is 100% going to be a Neural DSP plugin. I may be right, I may be wrong, but it has been posted on the official Neural DSP channels that the plugin will be launching on Wednesday. That would be, well, I guess CST or whatever time it is in the US, notwithstanding that Neural DSP is from Finland, if I remember correctly. And that would be Thursday, Singapore time. So, I remember coming across some comments, saying that, a post on Reddit saying that there will be an official John Mayer plugin at some point. I managed to dig up the audio for the live stream for the Thanksgiving episode of Life with John Mayer, and kind of coming across it, listening to it, and just being totally blown away by what I was hearing. Notwithstanding that there would have been tons of compression. It wouldn't be the same as you playing the plugin in your DAW through your studio monitors, or for the matter. But it sounded like John. And I remember in 2019 seeing John live for the first time, and the set, it kicked off with Belief, and hearing that note come in, whatever I heard on the plugin took me back to hearing it live in that arena, and that's exactly how good I thought it sounded. Well, we probably can't talk about more about how it sounds like until we have the actual plugin, and until you try it out for yourself. But that's it, you know. And so, do I think that this plugin will change John Mayer's library? Absolutely not. He's not gonna go and, you know, not travel with the whole bevy of amps and things like that. And just think about this. I think during U2's Spear residency in 2023, The Edge swapped out his live amps for the UA amp pedals. I think he had the Woodrow, definitely the Ruby, and I think one more of the UA pedals together with an XFX. So that was what he was running. But in 2024, when Dead and Company did a residency at the Spear, John Mayer had a shipping container somewhere with all the amps inside that. And then fast forward to 2025, when there was another Dead & Co residency at the Spear, John posted on Instagram that he had this whole contraption basically built to house his amps by his tech and a studio designer, and that was, you know, where the amps lived. So I don't think that John is moving away from that setup anytime soon. And this is also most certainly not John's first foray into the digital world, but it is, I think, monumental. And I think as far back as 2015, you would have seen images pop up of his backstage practice rig, and that would have been a Kemper profiler together with a Dumble 1x12 cabinet. And I think in 2017, on the European leg of the tour, that came out again. And so you would see that John's kind of been dabbling with using modeling gear here and there, but he's never committed to anything that he would brand or even put his name on. And, you know, moving past even just the Kemper, 2019, I think that was when John Mayer was first seen using the XFX, and that was live with Khalid at Coachella. The same year, I think he went on an Instagram live and he essentially said that amp modeling is close, but it's not quite there yet. And I remember that the three issues that John had with amp modeling was, one, the way that modeling responds to changes in the guitar volume, or, you know, somewhat like input impedance, or even just the gain structure of how notes bloom. You know, he took issue with that and he said that, you know what, modeling technology is close, but it hasn't got that down yet. And I think he listed two other things. The first one is what he termed as the impulse of the note. I think he just refers to the feel of playing through an amp as opposed to a modeler. And the last thing was, you know, harmonic artifacts when you're playing more than one string. And that was all the way back in 2019. I think later on in 2021, you hear about how John Mayer used the XFX3 even in the production of Sob Rock. And then fast forward again to 2023, John Mayer opened for Ed Sheeran, and this was something that was done on short notice, and what he chose to take with him for that show was a Fractal Audio FM9 actually. Yeah, so that was the rig he used then. And you move on then to 2025, I think there were two instances of John and modeling gear. The first one was actually talking about the UA Enigmatic pedal, and that's essentially a model of a Dumble amp. And he was describing it that, you know, this would be good value for any young guitarist. And I mean, clearly nobody, you know, is out there buying a Dumble with the way that prices are at. But, you know, that was a positive shift towards digital modeling. And later on in 2025, again this year, when John played with Zed at Coachella, and he played Automatic Yes and New Light, and you saw that he used a QC Quad Cortex on that show. But beyond just the Quad Cortex, I think it came out later on that he was actually not using the Quad Cortex standalone, but he had a Sano, I believe it's pronounced as Sano Audio black box. That is effectively something that changes the guitar impedance. It's an active circuit that's got a 12AX7 tube inside it, and that will basically change the way that the pickups interact with the modeler. And I think that does go some way to show that actually John probably doesn't feel that modeling is there yet. But the significance of, you know, being assuming that this John Mayer plugin with his name and his brand on it is coming out soon, does mean that he definitely feels that modeling and digital technology has gone some way since his last comments, you know, that it's not quite there yet. I think the fact that John Mayer is willing to put his name on it is significant. And I think, from that you can expect that it is going to be a high quality plugin. And well, there's been some discussion about, who's going to be the manufacturer or the software developer of these plugins. And well, I mean, I've already said that I think it's Neural DSP. I think there were a couple of forerunners or front runners that may have also could have been, the people making this plugin. I think one of them is MixWave. So MixWave has an affiliation with GHS Pedals, and we know that John has a relationship with Josh Scott of GHS Pedals. MixWave has got plugins with other artists like Mike Stringer of Spiritbox, Jason Richardson, I think Manuel Fernandez as well. And they are also the ones who make the official 2Rock plugin for the Bloomfield Drive. So there's definitely some possibility there, but I doubt that it is actually going to be MixWave releasing this plugin. But we can rule out Fractal and Kemper because they don't make plugins. You also have IK Multimedia, who have the Tonex platform, and we've seen, I think, Jose Trani's amps on there. Alex Lifeson of Rush has got amps on there. But, you've never seen, or at least I've never seen, John Mayer post anything about the Tonex plugins or anything about IK Multimedia. So I don't know, or I don't think it's a possibility there. And then the last one would probably, well, apart from Neural, would probably be Universal Audio. And one, you would have heard about John's comments about the enigmatic pedal. You would have seen that, they just released a plugin that's called the Paradise Guitar Studio. And to be frank, it does sound pretty good. But I guess it's in the phrasing of what John said, or how you interpret what John Mayer said. He says, I think his exact words were, it's got all of my amps in it. So it's whether you interpret that as being, it's got models of the same amps that I use, or does it have quite literally the model of his own amps in that? And I think it would be the latter. I can't see John Mayer endorsing something that, would be the former. And so that brings us, quite nicely to Neural DSP. I think first and foremost, you saw that, he used the Quad Cortex Live with Zed at Coachella. Second, just the amount of online chatter that's been going on about this. On John Mayer Gear's post on Instagram, and I'll put screenshots up of this, a user with the handle, I don't know how to pronounce it, Caterman, he commented that this is something that's been in the work for years. And his sources are multiple undisclosed sources who are close to the company. Now, of course, that's not definitive of anything. Another user tried to corroborate this, but still, I don't think that's definitive proof. We don't know for sure. Third, I think when the news of this broke, there was a post in the Neural DSP subreddit, which kind of alluded to the fact that Corey Wong has a Dumbo, and then there was a Dumbo that was modeled in CoreOS 3.0. I think it's or 3.3 if I remember correctly. And someone by the name of Max Taylor Grant responded and said that for a fact Corey Wong does not have a Dumbo, and he went on to say, which makes all of these things kind of fun, and you will wonder what's the significance of this user named Max Taylor Grant commenting on this. He's actually the director of artist relations at Neural DSP. So not only does he know that the Dumbo was not Corey Wong's Dumbo, he may have some inside information, or may appear to be giving out some of the inside information in the post. And lastly, we've got the teaser that's, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but the soon teaser that Neural DSP does for every single one of those plugin launches. It shows you an amp on top of a head on top of a cab. And when I first saw it, I instantly thought of the 2Rock John Mayer signature amp. It looks exactly like it, from the curvature of the head cap and also the fact that it's got end caps on it. And so I posted an Instagram story. I'll try to superimpose them and add the image in here, but it looks to me like that is quite clearly the 2Rock John Mayer signature amp. And the cap that has been posted in that same video, but I think the first thing to note, it doesn't appear to have any end caps on it. So on that basis, I think some people have tried to say that it was the JMod cab. I don't think it's the JMod cab, because the JMod cab does have end caps on it. Instead, I think it's actually either a vintage 2x12 Dumbo cab or an Alessandro cab. And so I think there were images that were provided by Alessandro of, cabinets built for John Mayer. And there were some that, were a bit more rounded on the sides, and also some that were a bit more rectangular on the sides. And based on what you see in this video, it does appear to be a more rectangular shaped cabinet with how the corners are shaped, and there are no end caps on the cabinet. So based on that, I'm quite sold. I think that it really should be the 2-rock signature amp, whether or not it's branded as a 2-rock amp, on top of the Alessandro cabinet. And I'll try and see if I can superimpose the image here for you to take a look. But I'll try that. And then comments, on this Neural DSP post. And again, I might be reading too much into this, but Jack Gardiner, who is a Neural DSP artist, posted an anime meme. And Jacob Umansky, who is the bassist of the band Intervals and is also a Neural DSP artist, also posted saying, you finally did it, you finally freaking did it. And so it sounds like it's something that's been in the works for a long while, which corroborates, the other story about this John Mayer plugin having been under wraps and being worked on for a long time. And yeah, Neural DSP themselves have liked comments that are basically just all the memes in the post. They have, at least as far as I can tell, they have not liked any of the comments relating to John Mayer. I suppose, they just shouldn't do that, if they're trying to build up suspense. I will say also, given the amount of traction that this has dredged up online, it would be quite tragic if we get to Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you live, it doesn't end up being a John Mayer plugin. I don't know what would happen after that. And if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong, but I do have my hopes set quite high that it would be a John Mayer plugin. I guess the next thing that we can talk about, is really what would be included in this plugin. And if it is a Neural DSP plugin, you would know that it wouldn't just be amps. It would come with pedals. Every single one of the Neural DSP archetypes, or even the amp packs. So that's I think they have the Morgan, they have a 14, and a bunch of other amps. But all of them include effects. So they're not just going to be amps. And so. Well, I think it's going to include the staple pedals, so you would probably see a Tube Screamer or TS10 kind of thing, a clone, maybe even branded as a Rocket Archer, Kili Katana boost, some sort of a new neighbor reverb, maybe even the JHS boxylator. Yeah, I mean, John's also been known to use, for example, Strymon Flint, Boss C2, and those pedals have been quite mainstays on his rig. And we will probably see that there would also be, those effects pedals being included. Now, whether or not they're branded generic, it's one of the points that I'll talk about next. But if we are right, and this truly is the Archetype John Mayer plugin, I have absolutely no doubt that this is going to be the best-selling amp plugin of all time. As polarizing of a person, or personally, or in regards to guitar gear that John Mayer is, he is probably the most popular guitar player on the planet at this very moment. And just based on that, there is, the demand for this is going to be off the charts. I think it would quite clearly, be the top seller all time, no doubt. I do also think that this will be the most expensive Neural DSP plugin. I don't know what the most expensive one is now. I think it is either the John Petrucci plugin or the Rebea plugin. I may be right or wrong on this, but I think one of the reasons why this plugin has taken that long to develop, if I'm right, is because I don't think John wants to use generic pedals. I think he would want to be able to brand a pedal, the Ibanez TS10, to brand the pedal, the J Rocket Archer, to name something, like the way huge Arcopus. But the challenge therein is essentially that these are all trademark names, or these are all trade names that have been used by these brands. And so if you were to name it that without having a licensing agreement, you run into the risk of then being sued for trademark infringement, or even passing off, which is giving a false impression that this is endorsed by those companies. And so those agreements have to be negotiated with each and every single one of these companies. The duration of the agreement, the amount of money that it's going to cost, And that takes time, and so that could be one factor as to why the plugin has taken such a long time, purportedly. And I may be wrong on this, but I do remember there being a Neural DSP plugin, DSP plugin that was released that subsequently had the names of the pedals changed because one of the licensing agreements expired. So I couldn't find which one I was referring to, but I do think that it exists. So that's something that I think is also a possibility. And I think the last point I want to make is that unfortunately I don't think you're going to have PCOM with the quad cortex on day one. PCOM stands for plugin compatibility, or porting the plugin over to the quad cortex. Unfortunately, this is something that you would hope that they would have done on day one, just because of how much traction this is going to gain. But the fact remains, that Neural DSP are behind on plugin compatibility. This is something that was supposed to happen at launch. It's 2025 and we still don't have all the plugins. And there are a long list of plugins that are awaiting plugin compatibility. So I don't think you're going to see a scenario where the John Mayer plugin jumps that queue and then gets ported straight away. That would cause quite a lot of uproar, I think, from people who own the other plugins and have been waiting for those plugins to be ported over to Neural DSP. But I do think that you will see plugin compatibility at some point. It would be nice if it's on day one, but I highly doubt that we will see it on day one. I think that's pretty much all the points that I have to make. I know this is a little bit more of just a talking video, probably quite rambly as well. I didn't really have, I just had a list of points that I wanted to cover, and so I hope that at least what I'm saying makes sense. It does appear to make sense to me, and I guess we will just see on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you live, whether or not we are getting a John Mayer plugin from Neural DSP. If it is, that's great. If it isn't, then I'm truly sorry. I have read too much into all of these comments and all these things, and it's just wild speculation. I am kind of bummed that I probably won't be able to try out the plugin, at least for a month or so. But well, we'll see what happens with that, and I look forward to trying. I mean, whether it ends up being the John Mayer plugin, I look forward to trying it out, and hopefully doing a video or two on that as well. So thanks for hanging around, listening to me ramble about this plugin. Yeah, I'll see you guys around.